Good morning. This video is a follow-up to the video I did about the technique in Tango and explaining the column of alignment and direction so that you can understand it for examinations and descriptions, and also if you're looking into the book as reference to understand the language. It's different in Tango because of the curve of the dance, the shape, the fact that there's no rise and fall. We always have a curve to the left. Forward steps are taken normally in CBMP. Forward steps on the right foot are taken with the right shoulder lead, and then in the opposite. So if we're moving backward with the right foot, normally we take in CBMP, and the left shoulder lead will be taken on the normal backward step with the left foot. So, as I talked about in the last video, most of your steps in the alignment and direction, if they're forward or backward, are listed as a direction rather than alignment. So I won't go back over all that, that's in the previous video, but what I did want to cover is another unique thing about the way the Tango is written, and then this one would be more applicable actually to the dancing because it does affect the direction you're going on certain steps. The other video we talked really about the language. That being said, I think understanding the language helps you to understand the dance so that you can be sure you're always keeping the right shape. We're going to look at the open reverse turn with lady in line and open reverse turn with lady outside, because if you're studying that, you'll see that the alignment or direction is different on step 4. One is DC and one is down the line of dance. So what is the reason for that? I'll give the reason and then I'll go through a few figures in the book where we can apply that and make sense of it. And then I'll also demonstrate it. Now, if we're looking at the lady, then that would be the natural opposite of that. So what is the reason for that? Well, when we dance with the lady in line, she's doing something called a tango heel turn. She just puts her heels together and she'll be in line with the man. The man will be taking a normal backward step on his left foot. That means he'll have a left shoulder lead or left side lead, and she's stepping forward and she'll have a right shoulder lead or right side lead. So that means that even though maybe the movement itself would be down the line of dance, that's not mentioned. What happens is the next step after that, step 4, in the case of the lady in line, will be DC. That's directional. And it's because we've done a normal left foot step moving backward, followed by a left turning figure. So the first step turning to the left will be directional, and it will be taken 1/8 of a turn different from the direction you were going on the previous step. I think that'll make more sense when I demonstrate it. So for instance, we could dance the back Corte different places in the room. If you look in the chart, we'll take a look at that. It's an alignment that maybe we don't use as often. Line of dance, we're more likely that we may be doing the back Corte diagonal center. So you'll have to know that if you're using a different alignment than what's in the chart, if it's going to be taken into the new direction, the direction of the body, then you'll have to understand how to change the alignments. So I'll say that again, a normal backward step with a left shoulder lead. If it's followed by a left turning action, we will take the direction of the body. And since the body is in this position, that explains why it's DC if the lady is in line. If the lady is outside, she's stepping outside in CBMP, the man is stepping outside in CBMP. So bodies are turned towards each other. Obviously now there's no shoulder lead when we have a CBMP because of the outside partner step. So for that reason, step 3 and 4 will both be described in the same alignment as going down the line of dance. So I will show that, and then we'll also look in the book and try to make a little bit more sense of what I'm saying. Well, in a demonstration, this will make more sense, what we're discussing here. So I will dance the first 3 steps of the man's part if the lady is going to be in line on the open reverse turn. This one also is given in the chart in the normal alignment. We would normally start this DC. and end up diagonal to wall. So in this case, the lady is going to close her heel to her heel, this type of tango heel turn, as I step around the lady. And when I take my left foot back, it's a normal step. It'll be taken with a left shoulder lead. So because that is normal, the direction of the following step, if it turns to the left, that first step will be the direction of my body. So you can see that my body, because of that shoulder lead, is more DC. So this direction will be DC. Now that would be the same thing for the lady. She has a right shoulder lead. So she dances her reverse turn, closes her heels, and she walks down the floor with the right side lead or right shoulder lead. So the direction of my body is where I'm going to go on the first step that turns left. Following this step, my direction is DC. If you don't understand it, it's very difficult to remember between the reverse turn with lady outside and reverse turn with lady in line, because you don't have a logical reason for it. If the lady is now outside partner, when I take the third step, this is now down line of dance. This is not a normal backward step because of the fact that the lady is outside. So I don't have the shoulder or side lead. And so my fourth step now continues down the line of dance rather than DC. This will be the same for the lady. She does not dance the tango heel turn or the heels together. When she steps forward, she does not have a shoulder lead or side lead. She has a step in CBMP, because she's more in a twisted position. Step 4 now will continue down line of dance instead of DC as in the previous figure. So now to drive that home on your study, if you look at some of the other figures, for instance, if I danced a left rock as man, then I would have that left shoulder lead on the rock. So if I put that in the line of dance, let's say this is the line of dance, and I'm doing my left foot back, down line of dance, what would happen to the closed or open finish at the end? That's a left turning figure, the first step of that left turn. Following the normal step would be DC, that's the direction of my body, and carrying on here. So if I were to dance the rock on an angle, I would have to do the same thing. Now the direction of my body also is where I'll take the next step. So then it may not match the chart. On the other hand, if I were dancing that with the lady outside, maybe I danced an open promenade, and now I would dance a left foot rock, my backward step with my left foot is not normal. It's taken in CBMP. So I will continue in the same direction. And the same for the lady. Let's say if she's dancing in the line of dance with the left foot rock, which is right foot rock for her, she has a right shoulder lead. The direction of the first turning step now will be the direction of my body, and that will be DC. Now the same thing, of course, would go for the back Corte. Now many times in the back Corte, if we have students who are competing, we produce a more competitive back Corte, and we don't dance it strictly by the book. But the way it's written, this rule would also apply, because when you dance the back Corte, you would dance it with the left shoulder lead as man, or the right shoulder lead as lady. And so you would have the same thing going on if I were doing this in a line of dance, which I believe is the one in the chart. We'll take a look. So I would take that foot back with the shoulder lead, and then I would have again a DC as the direction of the first turning step of the finish. So how do we dance it for a more competitive style? Often what we'll do is squeeze through the right leg, and we'll produce a right rotation. here on that. That is not now a normal backward step on the left foot. So you should understand that that's an embellishment or a styling or a grade up from the way it's written. So when you're first teaching your students, just dance it as written. Keep things in the normal shape. This is more difficult to do. And then, of course, that's where we can have the lady either keep her head closed or open her head, and then there can be a stronger CBM action on the next step. But those are competitive additions or enhancements to the figures. So we'll take a look at a few of these other figures so we can get this idea pretty well ingrained and make sense of why the alignment or direction would be different in the following steps from one pattern to another. Let's take a look at the rock turn. I did not demonstrate the rock turn per se, but it includes the left rock. So we're going on to step 2, which begins the rock itself. So that's for the man. The first rocking action, you transfer weight on step 3, and then look at step 4. Step 4, left foot back, small step with left side leading. You see there the direction is DC. So what does that mean? That means that step number 5 will be to centered. That's an eighth of a turn different to the left, right? So because we have that shoulder lead, the body and the feet are not exactly matching, and we're having to make that additional turn. So in this case, it gives you an example of a figure that's not going down the line of dance, but it started from a diagonal. And you'll see there's always that adjustment on the first step of the turning action that follows a normal step with the shoulder lead to the left. And then, of course, if we look at the lady's part, you'll see the same thing on step 4 as she finishes her rock. She has the right side leading as she steps forward with the right foot. That's DC. So what happens on step 5? To center. So if you go through some of these basic figures, you'll get the idea of why this happens. And again, it's in keeping with the character of the tango, the shoulder leading, or the curve of the dance, where the feet and the body are not generally agreeing. And once again, as I said in my previous video, that's why we have in this column alignment or direction. And you can go back and look at that one to understand why some figures are in alignment, some are a direction, and some are both. I won't go back over that on this video. So hope that makes sense for you dance nerds that are looking for details and trying to understand why some of these things are taking place.